What is up, everybody? It's the Franz, and we're here for UnScripted episode 66. Before we get into today's show, I usually do it this week in UnScripted, but not this week because this week's, I just want to say thank you to everybody who's watched any of my content this week, from the preview and predictions to Superstar Shakeup, both Raw and SmackDown, Superstar Shakeups, NXT, anything that you guys have watched this entire, hell, anything you guys have watched from the time I started this channel to now. I want to say thank you. This has been a lot of fun. I've been doing unscripted for about a year in a couple months. I started this podcast back in 2018 at the beginning of the year. I started doing pay-per-view reviews at the end of 2017. I've been doing this just for the hell of it. I haven't made a dime pretty much my entire time doing this, and it's just something I love to do. I'm not the best at it, I know that. Hopefully I can get better enough to where I can be one of the top people on this platform, or at least in this community, to do this. It's just great to see that, like, my SmackDown review for this week is still, for some reason, getting views. It's just like, how is this, like, why is it still gaining? It's funny. But it's been just a hell of a lot doing this, and I hope to continue to do this, get better at what I do. I want to make this one of the best places to come to. You don't have to watch as long as you listen. If anyone wants to listen to what I say, if you agree, if you disagree, I'd like to have comments from you guys. I want to see your comments. I want to hear what you guys have to say, what you guys think of things I talk about. If, like, on my Raw review, SmackDown review, if you agree, you disagree. NXT review, same thing. Pay-per-view reviews, I want to, like, when I do a predictions video, I want to hear from you guys what your predictions are for the pay-per-view that we're talking about. Next one up is Money in the Bank. So if I do a prediction show, which I'm going to, I want to hear what you guys think and who you think is going to win the Money in the Bank, who's going to win the other matches, and everything in between. That's what I want to hear. So, like, I'm getting some likes sometimes, maybe some dislikes sometimes, but I don't get any comments, and I want to hear feedback from you guys. I don't want to just keep doing this and just crickets. Like, it's the views are nice and that stuff, but I want to hear from you guys. So, just want to let that hit out right there that I want to hear from what you have to say. This channel has been done just something for me to do, something for me to get through my times, and things broke down in 2015. Not go into what happened, but I had a lot of fun for like the last year, 4 months. And I would love to continue on. This is episode 66. This is UnScripted, and right back with. What is going on, everybody? Again, it's the Franz, and we're here for episode 66 of UnScripted for your April 20th, 2019. We are on our way to Money in the Bank, and we're just a week out, a week and a half, almost 2 weeks out from WrestleMania. It's hard to believe that WrestleMania was last week, was 2 weekends ago, actually. It's hard to believe that we're almost to the end of April. WrestleMania has come and gone. We're on to the next show. And this past week was Superstar Shakeup, as we all know. Raw, SmackDown had their Superstar Shakeup. I had a prediction show last Sunday. Thank you to all those who watched that. It did pretty well. And I got all 5 for Raw right, 100%. I had Aleister Black, Andrade. I had Aleister Black, Andrade, the Usos, AJ Styles, and Naomi coming to Raw, and those are all right. I started off SmackDown. He's already in the holes with going 0 for 1 because Ricochet was put on Monday Night Raw with Aleister Black for some reason. So that left me with um, Ember Moon, the Revival. Like, the Ember Moon was the only one I got right for SmackDown Live. I was wrong on everything else for SmackDown, which I really thought the Revival and the Usos were switching places. It made sense. The Revival kind of needed that restart, have get their juices redone, get their like creative juices back in the flow, come over to SmackDown and battle with the Bar, battle with the New Day. By the way, Sheamus is injured. Anybody who thought he was going to Monday Night Raw, as far as I know, it's not happening. He's just injured. No one knows what the yeah, I do. I think we had that on here, but he's injured along with Daniel Bryan and Big E and Nia Jax. We're at this time of the year where WWE's superstars just start getting injured. It's not good. And that's why Sheamus was not on SmackDown Live, and you saw Cesaro teaming with the likes of Rusev and Nakamura, which I'm surprised Rusev and Lana wasn't shipped to Monday Night Raw. We do have a full list of the superstar shakeup here. We have Raw getting AJ Styles, The Miz, Ricochet, Aleister Black, Hanson in a row, the War Raiders, because I refuse to call them that other name. We'll talk about that later. Andrade Cien Almas, Zelina Vega, Rey Mysterio, Jimmy and Jey Uso, Naomi, EC3, Lacey Evans, Eric Young, Cedric Alexander, and one man who was not shown on Monday Night Raw, Samoa Joe. SmackDown got Elias, Roman Reigns, Finn Balor with the Intercontinental title, Ember Moon, my only pick that I got right, which, yay for me. Bayley, Kairi Sane, Buddy Murphy, Lars Sullivan, Liv Morgan, Chad Gable, Apollo Crews, Mickey James, Otis and Tucker of Heavy Machinery. And that was that. So, they actually have a list on a couple dirt sheets that shows the complete rosters for Raw and SmackDown, and I don't have those on here because I didn't want to read off everybody who was on Raw and SmackDown. Because one, that's just way too long, and two, that would bum me out because that's just so much talent that WWE is wasting. So much talent WWE is wasting. It's like there is no excuse for WWE creative to be this bad. No excuse at all. I mean, we had Rodell last week step down from SmackDown head creative at the Hall of Fame on WrestleMania weekend. A creative writer walked up to Vince McMahon, shook his hand, said, "I hope you learned something," and walked out. Because he had Bret Hart mention Vince McMahon in his speech, and Vince McMahon doesn't want people to recognize him in their speeches, which is actually kind of fucking petty, absolutely fucking stupid. If I'm in the Hall of Fame, if I'm going to the Hall of Fame, and I want to recognize my boss who's been there and gave me the opportunity, I'm going to mention the motherfucker whether he wants me to or not. And then of course DX went on that little we can't say Vince McMahon joking rant, which just makes that even look even worse. We do have a lot to talk about Sasha Banks too, by the way, because there was still more coming out and more to follow up on so-called tantrums that they had last week during WrestleMania, which I don't buy it one bit. When it comes to it now, I don't buy it one bit. So we're going to talk about that. But of course, as we do Raw, SmackDown, NXT, we are talking about the Superstar Shakeup here, and the Superstar Shakeup. If you look back at it now, I think SmackDown Live won again, and the reason for that is, of course, whether we want him to or not, Roman is the biggest name coming to SmackDown Live. He does replace AJ Styles, who, in my opinion, is a bigger star than Roman Reigns will ever be. They also got Finn Balor. Finn Balor versus the likes of Buddy Murphy. I can see easily being the feud going into Money in the Bank for the Intercontinental title. I would love to see Buddy Murphy versus Finn Balor. Maybe not even the first match. We could have Buddy versus Mustafa Ali versus Finn Balor in a triple threat match. I think that would be great. Finn Balor and Mustafa Ali had an excellent match on SmackDown Live. Monday Night Raw, again, just we had the War Raiders get their careers pretty much ruined in 5 minutes. It's funny because you go back and on the WWE's Performance Center YouTube channel, Casey Catanzaro has pretty much a vlog that she puts up, like watching her boyfriend Ricochet and his exploits on the main roster. And even she was surprised that her exact words was like her heart hurt because the War Raiders are on Monday Night Raw, and she knows that they're no longer going to be at the PC. She already has to watch her boyfriend, who she actually calls by his real name most of the time, on the on Raw. Now that the War Raiders are not going to be in NXT either. And the sad part about it is, they got that bullshit name, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But we come to NXT. They're still being called the War Raiders because it was taped beforehand. But they come out of William Regal's office as the Street Profits are coming towards them. And they have new black shirts that say War Raiders with Viking theme around it. I'm like, anyone have access to that shirt? Because I'm sure fans would love to buy them. Now it's a collectible because if that shirt even becomes available, it's like, are you kidding me? That shirt right there has never been seen before. They have new merchandise with the War Raiders logo on it, or the War Raiders name on it, and it's already a collector's item. If it was to be sold on WWE Shop, which I doubt it's going to be anyway, it would be a collector's item because War Raiders to WWE and Vince McMahon no longer exist. Samoa Joe to Monday Night Raw. I know it has to happen because they want to switch the titles, but I honestly think that Samoa Joe, keeping him away from Roman Reigns is a good idea. It is. Him versus Braun Strowman looks like to be the first feud, and the reason he wasn't on Monday Night Raw, and I don't know why they gave Cedric Alexander a hype package. They did a graphic with everyone else who was coming to Monday Night Raw, including Eric Young and others, but they did not have Samoa Joe on the graphic with all of them or giving him a hype package. He was sick. The reason he wasn't on TV on Monday is because he was sick, heavily. Fevers, flu, whatever. And WWE is not going to have you go out there because if he goes out there to do the spot he was supposed to, one, it would have pissed a lot of people off. And two, if he starts brawling with whoever he's supposed to brawl with, and he just starts, he's violently sick, and one punch to the stomach or something, and he ends up throwing up everywhere, that's just going to look bad on WWE. So they can't technically have you go out there if you're heavily sick. But instead of, giving us the U.S. champion, showing all the U.S. champs coming, excuse me, they just decided, well, we're just going to wait for SmackDown Live so you can see Finn Balor come out with the Intercontinental Championship, and we'll go from there. So, Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live, of course, had the Superstar Shakeup. NXT had their first of many great shows coming up. It was the after show to after WrestleMania. As we had the Velveteen Dream versus Buddy Murphy. Excellent match. We had Kairi Sane still has the opportunity at the NXT Women's Championship as she was coming up to SmackDown Live, in which she got brutalized, absolutely brutalized by Shayna Baszler. Absolutely brutalized. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about this. So, Superstar Shakeup. Not the best Superstar Shakeup. NXT again. It's like you have that nasty food that you like you enjoy a great meal, and you go out to this restaurant, you get yourself a steak. You get yourself a steak, a nice porterhouse steak, something that you've probably had multiple times. But this time you get it dry. It comes out and it's dry, it's drab, it's disgusting. The cooks overcooked it. You go to take it back, and they're like, "I'm sorry, sir, you can't do that." Well, you have no choice to either get up and walk out and be like, "Fuck you, you ain't getting paid for this," or you sit there and you just take it. Somebody like me is gonna get up and say, "Fuck this, I'm not eating this piece of shit. You can have this, I'm not going it." And that dry piece of steak is Monday Night Raw. SmackDown Live is usually something to help us wash this away with a nice cool beverage, if you want to go with beer, if you want to go with anything else. Tea for me, but I don't drink alcohol. Maybe a nice Mountain Dew, maybe a nice A&W every once in a while. But NXT is like that ice cream cake or something that you want to have every once in a while. That bowl of ice cream that is sitting out that's sitting in your. I'm terrible with metaphors, but I'm trying my best. It's just Monday Night Raw has felt like a dried up piece of steak or something that you would get from a terrible restaurant. Someone brought you here because they're your friend and you just want to support them, and it's absolutely terrible. That's Monday Night Raw for you. Monday Night Raw has been awful. And with the Superstar shakeup, I predicted Drew McIntyre was coming to SmackDown Live because I wanted to break up this fucking three-man group. By the way, the Shield Last Stand was going to be happening tomorrow on the WWE Network at 9:30 at night. The Shield is having a rematch from Fastlane. They couldn't give you AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson versus the Shield. They couldn't give you, I know Big E's injured. If Big E wasn't injured, they wouldn't give you the New Day versus the Shield, which was a very good match 2 years ago. No, they give you the three-man bland versus the Shield. Dean Ambrose's final match. If this is truly Dean Ambrose's final match in WWE, and this is supposed to be his final date. This is supposed to be the last thing he does for WWE. If that is true, then I want Drew McIntyre. The Shield cannot win. The Shield cannot win. You do not go out. You do not go out of a company winning. You go out on your back. Dean Ambrose takes the pinfall after a Claymore kick. Dean Ambrose takes the pinfall after the Claymore kick. What you do after that is whatever they do. But Dean Ambrose takes the pinfall after a Claymore kick. But who wants to see a rematch of what we saw at Fastlane? I sure as hell don't. I ain't covering it. I know Finn Balor is going to be defending his Intercontinental title against two. I don't know. This is commonplace because you're like, whoa, Finn Balor and him and Roman Reigns on SmackDown. How is this stuff able to happen? It's just house show. People, there's fucking idiots out there. It's like, oh, WWE's doing a video. It's like recording this stuff beforehand. No, it's live in Molina, Indiana. I think it's Indiana. Oh, Iowa. I think it's near Seth Rollins' hometown. People are like, oh, they're doing this taping in St. Louis. It's like, no, it's not in St. Louis, you fucking idiots. It's near Seth Rollins' hometown. Why people think that they're going to be doing a tape to this when they already touted it as live? If it's not live, they won't say live. They've been saying live since Monday. But of course, we have to get a one last stand. We had the final match. We had his final match on Raw. He's come out to Raw the last 2 weeks, saying goodbye to places, and now we're having a final stand, a final chapter. Make up your mind, WWE. Make up your mind. Hope this is actually the end of Dean Ambrose at WWE for a very long time. And to anybody who thinks that Dean Ambrose is leaving for 6 months and then coming back, or he's going to AEW for $6 million a year, that's so stupid. It ain't happening. Ain't happening. But what are we gonna see for the Superstar shakeup now that we have what we have? Otis Dorsey and Tucker Knight going to the SmackDown brand is not a bad thing. I mean, hopefully they won't become a Sanity or a Good Brothers or the Colognes who just come out every once in a blue moon or they just disappear. The War Raiders, there is talk about making them tag team champions in the long run, but I don't buy that. Look at X-Pac on his 12360 podcast. There's actually a clip of it on his. I think he retweeted a clip, or it was on someone retweeted posted a clip on him on Twitter talking about this name change. He's like, it doesn't matter about the name change if they go out there and kill it every single week. If they go out and kill it every single week, then the name will get over and it'll be fine. Yeah, everything's in a name. You're not gonna go out there and name somebody that and just expect them to get over. If they I feel like Hanson and Raymond Rowe and Warbeard Hanson can go out there and kill it every single night. Do I have the confidence in WWE to let these two kill it? No, I don't. So another big man group like the AOP who are going to come out there and do nothing half the time, and then we're just going to move on. And since the AOP are on the same brand as the War Raiders, what does that say for the Authors of Pain? What does that say for their push when they come back, if they come back? What does that say? Because Vince McMahon's not going to push two, especially if Vince McMahon's trying to redo the tag team division, he's not going to push two big, burly tag teams. So the AOP is going to be DOA for a lot. Not DOA, MIA. There we go, MIA. MIA, they could both be healed and probably going to be MIA because if the War Raiders are getting the push, then the AOP won't be. But again, it is what it is. It's going to be a long year, and 2019 is not looking any better than 2018. It's actually looking worse. WWE's creative is just getting to the point where it's like, I don't know. It's not good for WWE creative. We have no idea what they're going to do. The War Raiders, we're going to get into the news with the War Raiders' original name. As it's been noted, the NXT Tag Team Champions show up on Raw without their titles, by the way. Where were the NXT Tag Team Championships? When Tommaso Ciampa and Johnny Gargano both came up in February. Tommaso Ciampa was the NXT champion, and Johnny Gargano was the North American champion. Both of them came up with their championships. Where were the NXT Tag Team titles? Why won't the War Raiders come up with their Tag Team Championships? Really? Seriously. But the name they go with, which I'm not will never mention about, it's always going to be Hanson and Rowe, the War Raiders. That name is blasphemous. That name, by the way, that name is an actual experience that you learn that you can do in Norway. That you go over there and you can live that life. You can train to be one of those, and the fact that Rowe is a modern day one of those. There's a video on the WWE's Performance Center video of him and his wife doing a reenactment, and him saying he's a guild member of one of the biggest reenactment groups of that kind. It's like, so it's your fault that they came up with this. God, man. It was going to be the Berserkers. The Berserkers. And anybody who knows who the Berserker is from the 90s, a mid-card jobber who would job out to The Undertaker. He would wear fur all over him. He had like a Viking helmet on. That would have been awful. But I'm pretty sure that could have came up to, they would have been like, oh, these guys are the sons of the Berserker. So they're the Berserkers. And that would have been awful. Of course, who decided and who else decides? Anybody who wonders who decided to change these guys' name. Decision to change the name of the NXT Tag Team Champions, the War Raiders, to now this name shall not be named, was a Vince McMahon call. Who else? According to Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer Radio, now that they have joined the main roster in the Superstar Shakeup, it is Eric and Ibar, which we'll not mention. There was speculation that the War being dropped from the name due to the obvious reason, but Meltzer said that is not the case. Of course not, because we go to SmackDown Live, and Tom Phillips calls Ember Moon the War Goddess. He said it came down to Vince just not liking a name and him calling for a new name before their debut on Raw. As noted, at one point the team was scheduled to be called the Berserkers, but the name was changed to That Shall Not Be Named as they got closer to their debut. So basically, they didn't get their names till 5 minutes before the show went on the air, or 5 minutes before they went out there. Vince McMahon did it just because he fucking killed anything Triple H does. He kills. Vince McMahon is a spiteful piece of shit. He's that type of dad out there who sees his son, his daughter, or his son-in-laws succeeding at something he's been failing at for a very long time, and all he wants to do, he's jealous, he's spiteful. That's why you see guys like EC3 and Bobby Lashley who come back to WWE after spending time in Impact Wrestling, making a name for themselves. Vince McMahon's that spoiled little brat who's like, "Oh, you wanted to leave here and go make a name somewhere else. Well, I'm gonna make you look like a fool." Obviously, Triple H doesn't have that type of spitefulness in him when it comes to being a wrestling promoter, because you've seen EC3 come to NXT, and it wasn't the fact that he was EC3 back in TNA why he wasn't a champion. It's just that he came in at the same time that you had the War Raiders, you had Ricochet, you had Aleister Black, you had Adam Cole, you had Johnny Gargano, Tommaso Ciampa. At EC3, honestly, came into NXT probably a year before he did. He probably would have been a bigger name in NXT than he was when he was in there for that 6 or 8 months. But Vince McMahon just loves to be spiteful. Triple H, like, quite honestly, nothing's going to get better for NXT superstars coming up until Triple H grows some fucking balls and goes to Vince McMahon and is like, "Listen, you need to fucking stop this shit." What he should be going to him and like, "Stop this shit. What's the fucking point of me going down to my place, NXT, building talent for the future, when all you're going to do is destroy everything that I bring to you?" There was no fucking reason to change the War Raiders name to the, you know what. I'm not saying I can't. It's so fucking disgusting to even say that name. Absolutely pathetic. Triple H just what's the point? What's the point of NXT? What are they going to do to Adam Cole and the Undisputed Era when they come up? They're going to break them apart, and Adam Cole is going to be on Monday Night Raw, being the illegitimate son to Michael Cole. You're going to have Roderick Strong on 205 Live. It's going to get fucking ridiculous. Wait till Keith Lee gets up there. Keith Lee, the most laid-back guy in NXT. This guy looks like he's laid back. He can go out there and have a fun time. Watch him come up and become a heel. Watch him come up and be a nasty heel because Vince McMahon thinks it's great. Bobby Roode came up, the biggest heel in NXT. Tommaso Ciampa, of course, has passed that up by now, but at the time, the biggest and dickish heel ever in NXT comes out because people were singing his theme song, "Let's make him a babyface." Absolutely fucking ridiculous. And what happened? Bobby Roode went out there and floundered. Yes, he won the United States Championship. Yes, he's won Tag Team title of gold with Chad Gable. Only reason that tag team was put together was because they had nothing going for either guy. But again, Vince McMahon kills everything Triple H works for. If I was Triple H, it wasn't for the fact that he was married to Stephanie McMahon, I could honestly see Triple H being like, "Here's my walking papers, I'm out of here." And he could go off, and I guarantee you, he could take everybody from NXT and start his own promotion and fucking kill whatever Vince McMahon's doing. Quite honestly, I've said it before, if an hour of NXT was put on Monday nights between the time that Monday Night Raw is on, that hour of NXT I'm watching over Monday Night Raw. Plain and simple. So for an hour, I guarantee you it would hurt Vince McMahon in the ratings. If you would have had like Sci-Fi, USA, or whatever, or not USA, but Sci-Fi or something, or Fox or whatever, having NXT on the same time as a Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live, that hour I'm watching of NXT over the main roster. Just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm probably not the only one either. Just because NXT is that damn good. Takeovers kill it every single time. There has not been one bad takeover. When was the last time you had a main roster pay-per-view where every single match is a match of the night candidate? That happens almost every single NXT, where you have match of the night. Every single night. Every single takeover, and it's almost every single match. Now here and there might be a match where it's like, yeah, that was the week or the 2 of the 5. But every single time, you have at least 2 or 3 show stealers, and there's been at least 1 or 2 NXTs. I still say NXT TakeOver New Orleans was the best NXT of all time. NXT TakeOver New York was good. It was one of the top 5, maybe top 3, but it's not the best. New Orleans was still the best. Just saying. Don't at me. I know what I'm saying. So, The fact that Vince McMahon just comes out there and is like, well, women's, oh, no, we need this, we need to get this, we're gonna call them the Berserkers. Here you can have oh, that sounds great. Because nobody has the balls to tell this guy, no, this is a bad idea. This is the problem with WWE, is that nobody has the balls to tell Vince McMahon no. The talent's not going to tell him no, because that's a big payday right there. You're coming up from NXT to the main roster because you're going to get that pay raise. But yet, your entire dignity is going to be taken away from you. Everyone talks about Stephanie McMahon cutting off the balls of all the male superstars, when it's actually Vince McMahon who does it. This is going, like, everything's in a name. Having them call Eric and Ivar and that fucking terrible tag team name is going to hurt them in the end. I hope every single place they go, we hear the war chant. All you hear is war, 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 war. That's what I want to hear. Of course, we're not going to hear that everywhere, because a lot of these towns they go to, nobody cares. And a lot of these towns, most of these towns outside of the big cities are like Montreal. Montreal was fucking fantastic on Monday and Tuesday. Absolutely fantastic. Luckily, they didn't get a bait and switch at the end of the night or during the show. I know Matt Hardy was teasing over the weekend, which anybody who jumped on that as a news story, you're fucking stupid. The fact that last weekend Matt Hardy challenged the Hawkins invited to a title for title match, which is kind of fucking it pisses me off about WWE, is that for that 1 week from the go home show to WrestleMania, they promoted title for title being this big fucking deal. A big fucking deal. Okay. Have that title for title match at WrestleMania. We come the next night to Monday Night Raw. We do another title for title. Another title for title, which was a bait and switch because the NCAA tournament was going on. Then you have Matt Hardy go on social media and is like, hey, title for title. That was great at WrestleMania. Hey, that was a nice bait and switch at Monday Night Raw. Oh, let's do another title for the tag team titles. Of course that didn't happen. It didn't need to fucking happen. That was fucking, it's just anybody, and I didn't check that feed, but I'm pretty sure there was a huge feed of people like, yes, let's do this. Why? Yes, the tag team divisions on SmackDown Live is better than Monday Night Raw. Yes, a merging of the divisions or a unification of the divisions would be a good idea probably for the tag team titles, but it's not going to happen. Fox is coming up in October of this year, and Fox has made it very adamantly that they don't want superstars mingling with superstars from both brands. They want this brand split to be a legitimate thing. Yes, we know it's WWE. Nothing in this company is legitimate. The fact that the women's championships on both brands, Becky needs to lose the SmackDown Live title to somebody on the SmackDown brand, preferably an Ember Moon or Bayley. Just somebody not named Charlotte Flair or Carmella or one of the Iconics. Because Monday Night Raw has Ruby Riott, Lacey Evans, Natalya, and a bunch of jobbers. SmackDown Live's women's division is strong. If she was to lose the Raw Women's Championship to like a Lacey Evans, then that would really cripple Monday Night Raw even more. We're going to get into that Sasha Banks stuff here in a bit, but just coming out of it, I think that a lot of parties are at fault. And the tag team titles, after what we've seen since WrestleMania, there's absolutely no reason to have women's tag team titles, and I've been saying that for months. I never wanted women's tag team titles. But Bayley and Sasha Banks wanted them to happen. They eventually happened, and WWE did not know what to do with them. I know we got a little off tangent there, but moving on to Luke Harper. Good old Brody Lee has asked for his release from WWE. Luke Harper took to Twitter this week and announced that he has requested his release. Harper previously tweeted about being concerned or unhappy with his position in WWE going into WrestleMania 35 Access event, where he wrestled Dominik Dijakovic for a Worlds Collide taping. The match aired last Sunday on the WWE Network, Harper's first WWE TV match since last summer. Harper noted in that announcement that he is proud of his 6 years at WWE, but asking for his release felt right for him in WWE. There's no word yet on if WWE will grant his release. Most likely not, but this is the Ty Dillinger route. Ty Dillinger actually got released not too long after asking for his release, then posting on Twitter about it. Of course, Ridley's Luke Harper's contract is not out over till November, but because he was out for about 6 months, WWE could freeze his contract and he'd be going until 2020 under WWE's contract. It was recently reported that WWE was not granted and interested in granting releases due to competition from AEW and other promotions, but some superstars have been released this year. Ty Dillinger, TJP because of disciplinary reasons, and Kenta were all released this year so far. He says, and this was from his statement, as of this evening, I am requested a release from WWE. Past 6 years have been a simply amazing journey around the world and back with lifelong friends and family. I am proud of it all and proud to say I shared the ring with my co-workers. This decision, as difficult as it was, feels right for myself and WWE. My goal in the future is to continue to grow as a performer and person to continue to make my family proud. Thank you from the top to the bottom of WWE. Thank you to the fans for an undying support. Thank you to everyone. It is what it is. The fact that the guy has been healthy and able to come back since February, and this guy has not been seen on TV outside of a Worlds Collide video match with Dominic Dijakovic, which I hear was absolutely amazing. Like the people who actually saw it live, that it was one of the best matches of the weekend. But with the fact that this guy, even got to the superstar, we even got to the night after WrestleMania and the night after WrestleMania for Raw and SmackDown, guy was nowhere to be seen. Superstar shakeup, nowhere to be seen. What are they doing with this guy? Harper and Rowan, if he was good back February, what would have been nice is having him come back to reunite with his bludgeon brother partner in Rowan, and you could have had the two heavies with Daniel Bryan instead of just one. But no, you didn't get that. According to Dave Meltzer in the Wrestling Observer, Harper's contract is up in November. It was noted that WWE could theoretically hold him for 6 more months after that by freezing his contract for the amount of time that he was out with the recent injury, although it is unlikely. Last summer, Harper elected to undergo surgery on his wrist after Rowan suffered a torn bicep. This was after the two were repackaged as the Bludgeon Brothers. Harper was cleared for action back in February, but has been used sparingly. He competed against Dominic Dijakovic at WrestleMania Access and was a participant in this year's Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal, which, if you blinked, you missed him in that match, quite honestly. As far as this would be for next, so Harper, if he is released, Meltzer said that it's a possibility he ends up in All Elite Wrestling. One of his closest friends is Chris Harrington, who is now AEW's Vice President of Business Strategy. Harper became a pro wrestler in 2003, working at Brody Lee. He made his name for himself in places like Shikara, Squirrel Circle Wrestling, All Jersey Pro Wrestling, Dragon Gate, and Ring of Honor. While he gained recognition as a singles competitor, Harper has been known in recent years as one of the members of the Wyatt family. If he leaves, and would you blame him? The guy hasn't been used in months. It is April. The fact that the only matches he's actually had since he's been cleared in February has been against Dominic Dijakovic and the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. Hasn't been seen for 2 Mondays and 2 Tuesdays since. So, what are they doing with him? If you're not going to use the guy, let him go. You keep signing people. You have, and this is no detriment. This is no knocking Luke Harper. You have hundreds of people in the back or in NXT who can eventually replace a Luke Harper if you want them to. If you're not using the guy, let him go. You're already losing Dean Ambrose because they're not happy. He's unhappy with hokey shit, and he actually let his contract run out. People don't want to work with you, and a lot more people are leaving WWE because of they're not being used. A lot of superstars are not being used in WWE, and that is why they just want to be gone. Andrade Cien Almas has spoken out multiple times of not wanting to be in WWE anymore. Not just now, but when he was in NXT before, when they had him as the Chippendale guy. The guy who came out with the top hat on, with the suspenders, just being all happy and good lucky, and so Zelina Vega came into his life, slapped him in the face, and became his manager. So, Harper leaving would not surprise me. Yes, he took the Ty Dillinger route, so hopefully he gets his release. Hopefully, and of course it'll be 6 months. You're not going to see him, or 3 months. You're not going to see him at the next two AEW events, but that is going to be interesting, and we'll let you know if anything happens. Big viewership drop from shakeup edition of Raw. They are down, and this will be into a second, a lot from last year. And this just shows how the viewership for WWE over the years has dropped. Monday Night Raw Superstar Shakeup edition of Raw, one of the biggest shows of the year, with SmackDown Superstar Shakeup coming in the red brand. SmackDown stars and some NXT and 205 Live stars coming to the red brand. Drew 2.665 million views. This is down 9% from last week's 2.923 million views for the post-WrestleMania 35 edition of Raw, which was the best viewership since the post-SummerSlam 2018 episode, which drew 3.095. The way WWE is going, we are past the time of Monday Night Raw being in the threes. We are, plain and simple. For this week's show, the first hour, this is where it's at. Compared to 2018 Superstar Shakeup edition of Raw, which drew 3.622 viewers, beating this year's number by 26%. Last year's show was down 7.6 from the 3.921 million views for the post-WrestleMania 34 Raw drew. The Shakeup was fourth on that night and last year. So, their viewership is down 26%. That is not good. Why are the shareholders not talking about WWE's failing viewership? If we fast forward 1 year and they're down another 26%, that could be more detrimental to WWE. Let's see. They were at what? 22.665 million views. So if they're down another 20, if they lose another million viewers, because that is about a million viewers. They lost almost a million viewers within the last year. They come just under a million viewers being lost. If they come back next year and they're down another 9.95 viewers, they will be under 2 million, and eventually that's going to be to where nobody's watching Monday Night Raw. They gotta hope and pray AEW does not go off the ground. We'll talk about that later too, about AEW and what's going on with their entire TV rights deal and what the conflicting reports, but this is not good, and it just shows that people are not caring about WWE as much as they did before. And then in the post WrestleMania show is always going to be big as long as WWE has viewers. It's always going to be the biggest show of the year. Outside of last year when it wasn't the biggest show because they had that Raw 25 special in January, which that was the only time, and it'd be the last time for a very long time that WWE Raw hits a 4-point something. That's going to be the last time ever. Because nobody cares anymore. People are leaving in droves. People keep coming. It's just kind of funny how you have people sitting on Twitter and be like, "Oh, I remember back when fans used to watch Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, or watch WWE in general, and would talk about the good, be happy with what they see. They watch the good stuff, they talk about the bad stuff, but now all it is people bashing the WWE, and it's like, are you serious? Do you see what you're watching? WWE, outside of NXT, has been trash. NXT has been fantastic. Monday Night Raw, SmackDown, Monday Night Raw on the whole has been trash. How SmackDown has not beaten in the ratings, the only reason I can say the reason SmackDown has not beat Monday Night Raw in the ratings is simple. It is a detriment to, Monday Night Raw is a detriment to SmackDown Live. People are not watching SmackDown Live because Monday Night Raw is so bad. This is something that, it's the same product. I mean, if AEW comes in and they go on Tuesday, which is, I guess, out the door right now, but if they come out on Tuesdays, and kill it, go out there and just show you how it's done, then it's going to be two different products. I don't think Monday Night Raw is going to hurt AEW like Monday Night Raw hurt SmackDown. because it's two different products. It's going to be interesting to see about that, but we'll get to that later. This is definitely not good. If I was an investor and these numbers came out and you find out that and you realize the Superstar Shakeup Edition of Raw is down 26% to last year, I'm raising questions. I'm like, why are we losing? Why is viewership falling so much? Oh, it doesn't matter. Now, it should matter. This is the thing that they don't realize, though. This is Monday Night Raw. SmackDown Live, if the ratings like this drop for SmackDown Live going over the Fox, that Fox deal is going to be over like that. The way SmackDown, the ratings for Raw and SmackDown keep falling, SmackDown going to Fox, yes, it should have a huge rating because you don't have to have a cable box to watch it. You don't have to have a cable box to sit there and watch SmackDown Live. But I'm wondering, what are they going to do? I don't know. Going to be interesting. What do we do for WWE? WWE has got to get their act together, but they're going to lose out on a lot of things. If this keeps happening, Monday Night Raw will go from the biggest weekly episodic show to not existing anymore. And the biggest thing that needs to happen is Vince McMahon has to go. What happened on Monday Night Raw with Hanson and Moa is just another indication that Vince McMahon is out of touch. Vince McMahon is killing his company from the inside. He's got to go. Plain and simple. He has to go. Mojo reportedly on the Raw brand, which of course anyone should have saw. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling is Over Radio reported on the latest episode of Wrestling is Over Radio with Garrett Gonzalez that Samoa Joe in the United States title will be headed to Monday Night Raw after the Superstar Shakeup. According to Meltzer, Joe wasn't announced in the shakeup due to him not being on television Monday, but the plan is to have him as the U.S. title with the Raw as Finn Balor carries the Intercontinental belt over to SmackDown. This was kind of obvious, and again, I ask, why, if he wasn't on the show, why wasn't there a graphic? Because you wanted everyone to think, oh, the titles were staying where they were. That was like last year we had Jinder Mahal come over in the Superstar Shakeup as he was United States Champion, but he lost it to Jeff Hardy right away, and Jeff took it back to SmackDown, so that was that. And quite honestly, I wish the U.S. title would have been on Raw last year, and Seth Rollins and the Intercontinental title would have went to SmackDown. Just my opinion. I think he would have got a lot better work out of it for the Intercontinental title on SmackDown than he did on Raw, because we wouldn't have got the Shield reunions, and we wouldn't have had the three-man brand and Dolph Ziggler versus Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose. Who would Joe be feuding with as of course, what happened last week, we had Samoa Joe and Braun Strowman brawl a little bit. Joe will be going up against Braun Strowman. They had a physical altercation on the latest edition of Observer. The plan is indeed for Joe to feud with Strowman for the United States Championship, most likely Joe dropping the title. There is also the fact that EC3 got destroyed on Monday Night Raw. That was supposed to be Samoa Joe. So, anybody wondering what happened with Samoa Joe? Why EC3 got buried on Monday Night Raw? Well, simple. He was the stand-in for Samoa Joe. It's that easy. He was the stand-in for Samoa Joe. I want Samoa Joe to keep the United States Championship, but with the way WWE books, it would not surprise me Samoa Joe losing the United States Championship. Now, if Samoa Joe was to lose the United States Championship to one Braun Strowman, and then he becomes a heel protagonist or antagonist to one Seth Rollins, then by all means, that's fine. But now, honestly, the way Monday Night Raw is set up right now, there is no legit heel on Monday Night Raw to face Seth Rollins, and this was a problem. They brought Samoa Joe over. If they would have brought Daniel Bryan over, like, okay, we have Daniel Bryan versus Seth Rollins. Andrade Cien Almas could be a heel, but there's talk about making him a babyface and putting him with Rey Mysterio as a tag team or some kind of faction with somebody else. Bad idea. Terrible, terrible idea. We don't need to see that. No. Those two should be feuding with each other forever. No. Uh, there's also what happened to Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. Well, Bobby Roode and Chad Gable was supposed to be a tag team, and Bobby Roode was supposed to turn on Chad Gable, making him the big badass heel he should have been in NXT and should have been on the main roster. But the Superstar Shakeup broke that up for whatever reason. No reason given. They had no reason to break them up. No plan in place. You don't break a tag team up without a plan, but obviously they had no plan. What happened to Alexander Wolf? Alexander Wolf, who running mate Eric Young was put on Monday Night Raw, put a very cryptic note out. The Sanity, it says, Alexander Wolf took to Twitter earlier this week on Tuesday and said goodbye to WWE, also confirming the end of Sanity. Wolf's statement came hours after Killian Dane posted a similar message and one night after group leader Eric Young was sent to Raw from SmackDown in 2019 Superstar Shakeup. By the way, Nikki Cross still hasn't been given a brand, so we don't know what's going on with her, where she's going. Eric Young was sent to Raw, we know that, with no mention of his partners. And it's worth noting that Wolf and Dane are both still listed on WWE's roster page. Pro Wrestling Sheet reports that Wolf is still under contract. There is talk of Wolf going back to NXT, which could explain why he said goodbye to WWE in his statement. Wolf and Dane retweeted each other's statements, but Young has not acknowledged them on his own feed as of now. Former Sanity member Nikki Cross, who is married to Killian Dane, also posted a goodbye message to Sanity, which has also been seen. It has now come out that the UK division is having their tapings right now, tonight, and Alexander Wolf was backstage at last night's tapings, and he's going to be on the UK brand. He did not quit WWE. Anybody who took that message of him saying goodbye is him quitting WWE. You're 100% wrong. Alexander Wolf is going to NXT UK. What's going on with Killian Dane? I have no idea. What's going on with Nikki Cross? Most likely going to be on SmackDown Live. Outside of Charlotte Flair and Andrade's relationship, WWE didn't really split couples up. Aleister Black and Zelina Vega are on Raw. Ro and Sarah Logan are on Raw. Naomi and Jimmy Uso are on Raw. SmackDown couples, I'm not sure who's all couples and everything, but I was surprised Charlotte wasn't brought to Monday Night Raw, but they kept her on SmackDown Live. So the only couple that I know got split up from themselves was Andrade and Charlotte Flair, which it happens. But if you're married, WWE keeps you together. If you're dating somebody, if you're just dating, let's just split you up. We can just keep you guys apart. I want to go back to the Superstar Shakeup thing for a minute. What is WWE going to do with the likes of a Liv Morgan and an Apollo Crews, a Chad Gable? It's just those four right there. Those three right there, I'm sorry. Those three right there. Same thing with Eric Young. He's in the same boat. What are these four they going to do with? What are they going to do with Eric Young on Monday Night Raw? Nothing. You probably won't even see him. Eric Young hasn't been used relatively at all, except for in the feud with Shane McMahon and The Miz, because he was Shane McMahon's bodyguard. Or, that was the only match that they had in a while with Sanity on SmackDown Live in that handicap match. Now, Liv Morgan pulled away from the Riot Squad. Why? Is Ruby Riott going to go on her own? Is Sarah Logan going to join her husband in this new tag team name? And is she going to join the War Raiders and become a Viking with them? What is going to happen to the likes of Chad Gable and Apollo Crews? Are we going to have a new American Alpha? Are these two going to team up together? Mickie James was also put on SmackDown Live, but she really hasn't done nothing. It's like there's so many questions coming out of the Superstar Shakeup that it's like, huh? Why? Huh? Why? It's just one of those things that it's really odd that we go the way we do, and not everyone's going to make sense coming out of the Superstar Shakeup, but none of these people make sense. Liv Morgan, Chad Gable, Apollo Crews, and Eric Young. Mickie James, who could have been with Ember Moon and Bayley coming, and of course Liv Morgan too, coming to SmackDown Live, could have been helped to anchor and be a force in the women's division for Monday Night Raw again if they wanted to use her. But that is going to be just one of those things that it's like this year for 2019, let's see if anybody other than Chad Gable, which Chad Gable, in my opinion, the superstar shakeup for Bobby Roode and Chad Gable came a little too early. I was hoping, and I wish they would have did this, was when they lost to the Usos could have celebrated, and then they could have did the breakup. They could have did the breakup this past Monday. I've been calling for the breakup to happen, and it would not surprise me if on Monday Night Raw you would have Bobby Roode come out and just bury Chad Gable, bury him. Obviously, you could tell in the last few matches that Bobby Roode was becoming more of a heel, and Chad Gable was just wasn't as much as a heel. He was just more of an aggressive babyface. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Chad Gable and Bobby Roode. Bobby Roode should be a heel, but I think they jumped the gun with this. Let's talk about this. It's that time. Sasha Banks and Bayley. Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer Radio, reported via his episode with Wrestling Observer with Garrett Gonzalez that there may have been more of a reasoning as to why Sasha Banks and Bayley were both upset after losing the women's tag team titles at WrestleMania than just the gold. The following is transcribed from Wrestling Observer Radio. Meltzer says, and I quote, "So the Bayley thing that had to do with Sasha Banks' Bayley stuff being very unhappy about was not only that they were losing the championships that they found out on Sunday, but they were told that they were splitting up the team. Again, put it this way. I don't know how this is going to relate to Sasha, as to no one even knows what's going on with Sasha, because she was not booked for TV this week because she has been given a couple weeks off. She is booked for the pay-per-view, Money in the Bank, but whether she shows up, they don't know. But she was given a couple weeks to consider when she tried to quit privately. The thing is that I know is going to help. It's not going. I don't know if it's going to help, but I think it was abundantly clear that it's not going to help Bayley, this splitting up the team. She was not well received on SmackDown. As you know, she was getting booed. I understand this now. Yeah, and I heard it was worse live than it came off on TV. I heard she was booed really bad. That could just be one crowd, because the same crowd cheered her the night before, so I don't even get it, honestly. They did say, the way it was explained to me was that the fans were excited about Becky Lynch against Ember Moon, and when Bayley came out, interrupted it, and the fans booed her because people were excited about a potential Ember Moon versus Becky Lynch match happening right there, right now. First off, Montreal, are you that stupid? Becky Lynch versus Ember Moon is a pay-per-view match. You do not put that on free TV. That was not going to happen on SmackDown Live. So anybody in Montreal that got upset the fact that thought that Bayley came out and interrupted Ember Moon versus Ember Moon and Becky Lynch talking, you are a fucking moron. Absolute fucking moron. The match between Ember Moon and Becky Lynch, if it's to happen, is going to happen at a pay-per-view. And if WWE was to put that on free TV, that would be the stupidest thing they ever did. That is a pay-per-view quality match, period. That's how it was explained, is the fact that the fans were all excited. They're like, "Oh, Ember Moon versus Becky Lynch. We're going to get this right now. Awesome. Oh, Bayley's coming out. Fuck you. Fuck you." No. First off, you should never put Bayley in that position. You should have had Fire and Desire come out. You should have had the Iconics come out. That was the perfect spot for the Iconics to come out. Bayley coming out at that time to, just say, "Hey, I got all my hugs out on Raw. It's been a while." You kind of ruined that moment. Just no. They could have redid that. Still could have had you could have had Ember Moon in there win the ring. You could have had Bayley come out, all the Iconics or somebody come out. But no, let's have Bayley go out there. One of your top baby faces for the women's division getting booed heavily because one of your other top baby faces one of your other big baby faces in the women's division are out there with the women's champion. WWE hopeful Sasha Banks will return for Money in the Bank. John Pollock of PostWrestling.com and Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer, were reporting that Sasha Banks is scheduled to appear at WWE Money in the Bank pay-per-view, according to Pollock. WWE officials are hopeful that Banks will change her mind about leaving the company after she was told to take a couple of weeks off when WrestleMania 35 concluded. We haven't seen or heard from Banks since that Sunday, and Pollock is also reiterating that her scheduled appearance at the Uncut pay-per-view is not set in stone. Unlike Bayley, who is moving to SmackDown after the Superstar shakeup, the plan for Sasha is that she will remain as a member of Monday Night Raw because that's the smart idea. Splitting up the Boston Hug connection was also a reported bone of the contention between Sasha Banks, Bayley, and management. During Mania Weekend, as the duo had their hearts set on establishing the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship as the hot new belts, but that wasn't a part of WWE's plans as they moved forward with the Iconics capturing the titles. There's been reports backstage displeasure from both Banks and Bayley during the WrestleMania Sunday with Ryan Satin hearing. And this right here, I've heard from many people, is absolutely bullshit. Anybody who believes what I'm about to say, you are an absolute fool. This is bullshit. Hearing from several sources, Ryan Satin said that the two laid on the floors expressing their unhappiness. In addition to that, Banks has stopped following Vince, WWE on Twitter, and also canceled her post-WrestleMania appearance on the Wendy Williams show. I have a little picture here to show. This was from Bayley's Twitter account. What does that show you right there? I know it's all distorted and everything, but what does that show you right there? That right there sees two women happy for what they see in that ring back there. This is during the main event of WrestleMania when Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Ronda Rousey. What is that on their faces? Oh, those are smiles. Those are smiles on their faces. Why? Not because of what happened in that tag team match. Because everything these two women fought for, everything these two women built in NXT has culminated in what's happening behind them. That is what you call, and another thing that I don't see in this picture, where are the Iconics? Where's Nia Jax? Where's Tamina? Where's Alexa Bliss? Where's Beth Phoenix? Where's Natalya? Where's all these other women? Where's all these other women in this women evolution who sit there and say they want to help the women's evolution? They're in the back, or they're already back to their hotel rooms. Look at Sasha Banks and Bayley. They're out in the crowd watching two of their best friends with Ronda Rousey making history because these women care about this women's division. They care about the women's evolution. They care so much that they, for months and months and months, went to Vince McMahon week after week after week, wanting women's tag team championships made. They wanted to make those titles the pristine titles in the women's division. In all of WWE, not just the women's division, all of WWE. And what does Vince McMahon do? Oh, we'll give them to you. Oh, we're going to give you a long title reign. Oh, no, we're going to take them away from you and give them to the Iconics, who lost twice in 1 week, being pinned both times. 2 minutes on Raw, and then in a meaningless 8-woman tag match, getting hit with the insane elbow. I think it was Peyton Royce. But this right here, this picture right here, shows anything that you heard about them laying on the floor, complaining about losing the tag team titles is 100% bullshit. 100%. These two women should be there with their tag team titles, enjoying the show. They are two women who are a beacon of hope for other women in the women's division. But then you have you have a Lacey Evans or a Alexa Bliss or a Nia Jax who uses their influences, and they're snake. What do I want to say? They do everything they can to get ahead. Oh, Bayley and Sasha Banks lost the tag team titles. They aren't happy about it. Yeah, they made us soft about it a little bit, upset, especially with the fact that they didn't find out. They didn't find out till the day of the show. Yeah, that's going to upset them. But of course, you're like a superstar like a Alexa Bliss or a Lacey Evans who has a vendetta against these two women are going to go out their way, go to Ryan Satin anonymously, tell him bullshit lies to make these two look bad. I don't believe Ryan Satin's report at all. The fact that they lay on the floor expressing their unhappiness. Do you see unhappiness right there? You see Becky, you see Bayley, or I think it's Bayley, with the four horsewomen gesture in front of their faces, smiling, happy, because their two best friends and the two other four horsewomen were in that match with Ronda Rousey. Anybody who thinks that they did that, you are a fucking idiot. Banks and Bayley reportedly did not find out they were losing the women's tag team titles until the day of WrestleMania, according to Dave Meltzer. While they were informed that they changed the day of the event, the decision to have the Iconics win the titles was made ahead of time, and many people were aware of it in the company. As previously reported, Banks was apparently upset that they were losing the titles at WrestleMania, as they were expected to have a chance to get a meaningful run and make the titles mean something. Banks was also unhappy after learning that the company would be splitting up the team, as the plan for some time had reportedly been for Bayley to move to SmackDown while Banks remained on Raw. Really now? This portion right here just kind of contradicts what we've been told about the Superstar shakeup, because nobody outside of maybe a Roman and an AJ Styles, none of the superstars were to know who was moving. So when you see them come on SmackDown Live or Monday Night Raw, you would have that bigger reaction. Banks has not appeared on television since. Banks has been given some time off, and it's hopeful she'll make it back in a few weeks. If she returns, the plan is for her to remain on Raw. Banks is currently booked for the Money in the Bank pay-per-view on May 19th. As reported by Pro Sports Extra's own Brad Shepard of the Oh You Didn't Know Wrestling show, WWE superstar Sasha Banks is unhappy, as we know. The situation seemed to be worsened after the Boston Hug connection. Sasha Banks and Bayley dropped the women's tag team titles to the Iconics at WrestleMania. Now, on her Instagram page, it's not the Iconics that she's upset about. She did post a picture of her, Banks, posing with the new tag team champions of the Iconics, all smiles and everything. It has nothing to do with the Iconics. Shocking new details have emerged, which improved insight. According to the source, apparently she was upset about splitting up with her friend. We all know this. I'm trying to find something. Originally scheduled to defend it. Here's where it comes. This is the interesting spot. Sasha Banks and Bayley were told their reign as tag team champions would last past the next show in Saudi Arabia, which is rumored to be in May. This part, I don't believe one bit. They were originally scheduled to defend the tag team championships against Natalya and Beth Phoenix on the Saudi Arabian show. Saudi Arabia's General Sports Authority apparently has approved one women's match for the show, which would have been a part of. This would likely explain why WWE has been evasive of answering if they would have a second all-women's pay-per-view. Sasha is expected to return to WWE, and they already have been initial conversations about booking her to win the Money in the Bank briefcase, which means she would be guaranteed a match against Raw and or SmackDown Live Women's Champion. Both championships are currently held by Becky Lynch. Sasha Banks might have walked out on WWE, telling the company she wanted to quit. There's a lot more coming out about this situation from backstage, and it's starting to look like some people aren't on the boss's side. Brad Shepard of the Oh You Didn't Know knows that Banks was threatening to leave WWE, and those in the locker room knew about it. They didn't think she was going to actually leave. However, this will not sway Vince McMahon, as he has repeatedly said that the company is not going to kiss Sasha Banks' ass in order to keep her. Really now? Yet you gave her time off to think about it, and you guys are discussing her winning the Money in the Bank briefcase. That's kissing her ass. Plain and simple. Don't give me that bullshit. At the time, I was told that she was threatening to walk out of the company at any given moment, and most of the women in the locker room at the time believed she was bluffing. I wouldn't believe that. I would believe her 100%. After everything they put her through for 4 fucking years, for 4 years, everything that she went through from having the triple threat match between Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, which, by the way, at the WrestleMania where the Women's Championship was reintroduced in 2016, that was supposed to be Sasha Banks winning that match. Until it was supposed to be Sasha Banks versus Charlotte Flair 1-on-1. Becky and Charlotte Flair is going to win. Becky Lynch's popularity with the fans, WWE put her in that match, and for whatever reason, they decided, well, we're just going to give it to Charlotte Flair. Vince told those working as a catalyst between the two that while they loved and appreciate Sasha, no one is going to kiss her ass. She was promised, however, that things would get better. Really? So, going out and saying, oh, well, go take a couple weeks off. Oh, by the way, if you come back, we're going to get, they haven't talked to her, obviously, about this. But there's already internal, working to make her the Money in the Bank winner. You know why they would do that? So she could be the first person to fail. I would not want to come back if I was her. Brad Shepard tried to confirm Ryan Satin's initial report that both Sasha Banks and Bayley were lying on the floor in the locker room on Sunday before WrestleMania and again on the hotel front of the rooms. Again, may I reiterate? Did you see two women laying on the floor in this picture? Do you see two women upset, unhappy? You see two women out there for the main event, four horsewomen supporting their four horsewomen brethren. I don't know what you call a female version of brethren, but brethren. But there you go. Anybody who wants to say that they were on the laying on the floor complaining, this right here tells you that's 100% bullshit. It was also reported that the line Corey Graves said about Sasha Banks taking her ball and going home was a line fed to him from Vince McMahon himself. So, again, why the fuck would Sasha Banks come back to Monday Night Raw? She's out. You want her to think about it. You want her to stay because you don't want her to go to All Elite Wrestling or Impact Wrestling or Ring of Honor, where she would become the biggest star of the brand, even though her and Tessa Blanchard would probably have, in Impact Wrestling, would have matches that would be legendary. She could go face Allie or Brandy Rose or Brandy Rhodes or Britt Baker in All Elite Wrestling and be appreciated, given a championship opportunity when that women's championship becomes a thing, and be able to go out there and show these fans what you can do. Sasha Banks can't do that. Mercedes can, but not Sasha Banks. So anybody who sits there and thinks that it was 100% when there were sources saying that they lay on the floor and complained and whined and complained, these two are grown women. I don't believe that one fucking bit. I believe I talked about it last week and how even if it did happen, I would not blame them. 4 years. 4 women's championship reigns for the Raw Women's Championship. Not one title reign lasting more than 2 weeks, I believe, was her longest reign. She won the Women's Tag Team Championships. The only title defense in her entire NXT main roster career that she's actually had successful was the Women's Tag Team titles at the Fastlane pay-per-view. Other than that, every championship that she's had, and it's kind of fucked up that you have a reputation for winning a championship and not being able to defend it. Kind of fucked up. It's not her fault. It's WWE's fault. The fact that you have Corey Graves said that Sasha Banks dropped her ball and went home and quit is absolutely petty, pathetic, and again shows why Vince McMahon has to go. If you're that fucking petty, it would if Sasha Banks was to leave, she went and said, you know what, I'm going to leave. I'm going to go to Impact Wrestling in 6 months. I'm going to go to 90 days or whatever. Yeah, 3 months. I'm going to go to Ring of Honor. I'm going to go to AEW. Well, I'm going to be appreciated and be able to be used to my full potential. I want this women's division on Raw to mean something. I want those women's tag team titles to mean something. I want that women's championship on Raw to mean something. You may not want it, Vince. I do. That's her mentality. She wants this to be better. And the fact that she's working with a senile old fuck who doesn't want to have that, it's just like anybody who thinks Vince McMahon is a genius, you're out of your fucking mind. This guy just pulls the carpet out from the rug out from underneath Sasha Banks every single time. You love and appreciate everything she's done for you? Obviously not. Oh, you're not going to kiss her ass. Bullshit. You're already talking about making her the Money in the Bank winner if she just come back? Really now? So why? You can have her lose? Go to cash in and fail? That's exactly what's going to happen. So cash in, she'll fail, and even if she cashes in and wins the Women's Championship, she'll lose it within the next week because Sasha Banks isn't allowed to have a long title reign. Why? Because Vince McMahon is a petty prick. That is all we have on Sasha Banks. No, what happened at WrestleMania, they did not lay on the floor at WrestleMania, though. That's definitely coming from somebody who is a woman in the division who wants to make Sasha Banks and Bayley look like some of the biggest the pettiest women out there. I don't believe that 100%. But we'll let you know if anything happens. I hope I'm going to be one day coming on here and saying Sasha Banks has been released by WWE or she has left WWE and Sasha Banks is no longer the boss is no longer around and Mercedes can go off to do what she wants. Go to somewhere where they're going to appreciate her. In my opinion, and this is a sad thing, Impact Wrestling has a better women's division
than WWE's Raw and SmackDown divisions. I'm just saying. You have Jordan Grace, you have Tyra Valkyrie, and they have Tessa Blanchard. Right off the top of my head, even if they don't have anybody else, I think they have Kiera Hogan too. Those 4 women right there tear it up every single time they're on Impact Wrestling. WWE, if you're not in NXT, you're doing nothing. If you're not in WWE, if you're not a big blonde, a big breasted, big ass blonde bimbo, WWE doesn't want to push you one bit. We'll see what happens. I saw this news article before I clicked on it, and I was like, oh no. WWE star out with concussion. I was like, oh Jesus. But it's not. I thought it was Daniel Bryan because Daniel Bryan is out injured, and we don't know what that's going on there. But it's actually Sheamus who's currently out with a concussion, according to the latest Wrestling Observer newsletter. It was believed to happen during the New Day versus Sheamus, Cesaro, and Drew McIntyre match. You know that match where Drew McIntyre just disappeared and was just gone? The reason they did that is to try to protect him. Didn't help. And if that's the case, both he and Big E were injured during the same match. For Big E had suffered a torn meniscus that required surgery. Sheamus did not appear on either this week's Superstar Shakeup editions of Raw and SmackDown. The concussion would explain his absence from the SmackDown main event, which Cesaro teamed with the Rusev and Nakamura in a losing effort against the New Day and Kevin Owens or the Big O. That has to suck. That's gotta suck for somebody like Sheamus, who's already had like many injury problems. He did have that spinal stenosis scare like a year and a half ago. It's never fun to see somebody injured, and I've actually saw I saw where the meniscus tear happened for Big E. It was when Cesaro came off the top rope to with a crossbody onto Big E. Big E caught him, and his knee did not his foot planted, and he went backwards, but his foot was still there, and it didn't come off the mat. So instead of just falling backwards straight, his foot was still down, and he fucked his knee up. So Big E's out, Cesaro's out. I'm not sorry, but Sheamus is out. Nia Jax is out for the rest of the year, all year. I think there was another injury too, but there's just the injuries that are going to start piling up. It sucks for WWE. Like, they have all this talent on Raw and SmackDown, all this talent that they could push, and they could rotate stars, so you could give some guys at least a couple weeks off to heal their bodies up. So you don't have to have this injury problem happen, but this injury problem is going to continue to happen. And bringing more people up from WWE, not from WWE, but from NXT to Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live is not the answer. You have enough superstars on Raw and SmackDown to carry the load, so you're not seeing an AJ Styles every week on Raw now, or you don't have to see the Universal Champion every single time. Somebody sat there and told me that, oh, they're thankful that Brock Lesnar is no longer champion so they could see the Universal Championship defended on Monday Night Raw every single week. And I'm like, are you kidding me? The World Heavyweight Championship and the Universal Championship should 95% of the time be defended only on pay-per-view. And they're like, oh, you must be a Brock fan. I'm like, no, you dumbass. No, I'm happy Brock lost the title. But that doesn't mean I need to see the Universal Championship be defended on a weekly basis because, of course, Seth Rollins wants to be a fighting champion. Every once in a blue moon, especially if it's like December, TLC happens, or whatever the pay-per-view is, and you have like a 6-week or 7-week build between TLC and the Royal Rumble. If you want to put a Universal Championship match at the end of the year or at the beginning of the year, fine, whatever. But I don't want to see the Universal title on Monday Night Raw or the WWE Championship on SmackDown Live being defended on a weekly basis. The fighting championship thing is fine, but that's what the pay-per-views are for. The mid-card titles, the United States Championship on Raw now, and the Intercontinental title on SmackDown now, should be the titles, if they were to be titles defending on Raw, but singles titles should be defended more than any other title. That's what those titles are for. The big belts are meant for pay-per-view. Ring of Honor, we're going to move away from WWE for a bit. Ring of Honor has experienced changes in the office. John Rossap originally reported via Fightful Select subscription service that Ring of Honor is experiencing a significant change in the development system, and more changes could be on the horizon for the company moving forward. According to SAP, Danny Cage of the Monster Factory has left Ring of Honor from his position as operation manager at the Ring of Honor dojo after signing with the company back in December of 2018. Fightful reports that their sources have been told that Cage has plenty of ideas he wanted to implement in Ring of Honor and Future of Honor in regards to production, but that was met with resistance. Cage is still on good terms with the producer, Delirious, who is Ring of Honor's dojo head coach, but Joe Mercury will be taking over the role as operations manager. Also, according to Fightful, Joe Mercury and Bully Ray are both gaining influences within Ring of Honor that is expected to continue as time goes on. While Delirious' creative input has decreased over time, there is reportedly some heat on any people who are involved in making the Ring of Honor at All In deal a reality, as it cultivated a new competition and acquiring talent from the now growing All Elite Wrestling. First off, Bully Ray and John Mercury getting an influence into Ring of Honor is probably going to be a detriment to Ring of Honor, because Ring of Honor is starting to not feel like Ring of Honor to some people. The whole Enzo and Cass thing, which PCO claims no talent and the G1 Supercard knew Cass and Enzo were invasion was happening. Talk about it in a second. Things like that are very un Ring of Honor. Those are more WWE type things, and Ring of Honor caters to a certain fan base that don't want to see those type of things. And if you're going to have a Bully Ray or a Joey Mercury try and change the way Ring of Honor is to make it a more sports entertainment-like feel, you're just going to hurt Ring of Honor in the end. I would not want to see Ring of Honor go the ways of other places because of people getting certain influences happening in the back. Speaking of the G1, the Enzo and Cass invasion, PCO and Brody King of Villain Enterprise came up on the losing end of the four-way tag team match at G1 Supercard. I still don't know why they made that a four-way and why Brody King and PCO went in as tag team champions. It should have been the Guerrillas of Destiny versus the Briscoes, just my opinion. But everyone was talking about after the match was former WWE superstars Enzo and Cass jumping the barricade to attack many of the combatants in the match. Many were confused at what was going on, including PCO himself. He talked about the post-match chaos on the Wrestling Inc. by the Win CLY podcast. He said, and I quote, "There was a lot of controversy about what happened. For me, I was just worried about my back because I took a double powerbomb from 12 to 14 feet in the air straight to the concrete floor." PCO said before adding that the hell broke loose when Enzo and Cass showed up. He didn't know what was going on and was wondering if he was going to have to legitimately slug some invader. I didn't know what was going on because nobody knew nothing about this. It just came back from tapings in Pittsburgh and Columbus, and I got back yesterday and there was no Enzo and no Cass at those events. I haven't heard anything from the office, so I didn't know what's going on with that. Are they signed? Are they not signed? It's all question marks for me as it was for you, so I guess it's a corporate decision. I have no power over it, and I can't say if I'm not in favor of it, or if I am in favor of it. I don't know nothing about it, and I'm going to let Ring of Honor executives deal with it. PCO said Brody King and a bunch of other guys were unaware that something was going to happen after the match, and it's possible that Enzo and Cass invasion took away from the match itself. He says also that I know the Guerrillas of Destiny weren't happy about it. It seems like they weren't pleased with the fact that somebody can jump over the fence like that and take them out, so to speak, what PCO said. PCO then compared the situation to when Chris Benoit and Kevin Sullivan were in a feud in which Benoit was having an affair with woman, Sullivan's real-life wife in on-screen ballet. WCW had Benoit and woman travel together in reality to sell the storyline, and the locker room had become confusing if Benoit and woman were really together or not. It's all kind of convoluted, but apparently this did not go over well with Ring of Honor management. Not at all. Apparently, what was originally supposed to happen was Enzo was supposed to grab one of the Briscoes. They were supposed to shove him. Security was supposed to come over and whisk him away to make fun of what happened with Enzo at, I believe it was Survivor Series last year, when he came to WWE's Survivor Series event and tried to take over the event and got whisked away. That was supposed to be the start of it, and it was going to eventually lead to them being part of the company. Apparently, they are not going to be in the company because this thing not go over well. And did you expect it to? Usually, when you have something like this happen, you want to tell the boys. So there's not real haymakers. I mean, yeah, it makes it look better because Bully Ray was out there throwing actual haymakers at these guys instead of taking it easy, and it made it look a lot better. It got Enzo and Cass into the spotlight for a little bit of time. So there's that. Will it benefit Ring of Honor? Most likely not. Will anyone care in the next week or so? Probably not. The WWE Hall of Fame Road Dogg Brian James is now expected to take an extended break from the company, according to PW Insider. As noted, James, which I kind of missed this last week, it came out like probably right after I did Unscripted, so I wasn't able to get it. But James recently stepped down as the co-lead writer of SmackDown brand, and there had been talk of James possibly filling in a behind-the-scene role once he had been held by WWE Hall of Famer on Innocent at live events. There was also talk of James possibly working as a commentator. No word is that the parties involved with will assess the situation and see where James may fit in the company going forward. James was not at the TV tapings in Montreal this past week. With James not there, Ryan Ward was leading the creative team on Tuesday for the Superstar Shakeup episode. Ward handled the responsibilities that were usually overseen by James. James is still considered to be with the company, but there was no current timetable for his return. It was reported before that James had become increasingly frustrated with changes to the Blue Brand TV scripts by Vince McMahon, and that he finally hit the breaking point at the post-WrestleMania SmackDown in Brooklyn. What do you expect? You have creative meetings. SmackDown goes off the air, and I believe they have creative meetings on Wednesday. I could be wrong. I don't know when the creative meetings actually are. You have these creative meetings. You have a show built up for SmackDown Live the next week. You have everything built up. You have everything going. Okay, we're good. We're good to go. Go home. You're happy. You come back to SmackDown the next Tuesday, and you go look at everything that's set up, and it's like, what happened? This isn't what we did. This isn't what we booked. Oh, Vince McMahon changed everything. Oh, of course he did. That's got to be frustrating. I know other podcasts have had too. There was actually a Fire Road Dog chant or a hashtag Fire Road Dog trending at one time when SmackDown got really bad when Jinder Mahal was WWE champion. All those hates, I know we said it before. Road Dogg could be very creative. We don't know what Road Dogg, when he was and the head of SmackDown, what actually he came up with got out there. Everything goes through Vince McMahon. Everything that you see on that TV show goes through Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon changes everything. Everything that you see on Monday, Tuesday, every single week, and every single pay-per-view is from Vince McMahon. Now, yeah, maybe something slips through the cracks that is good from somebody, but it's very rarely. Vince McMahon does everything he can to make it into his vision. Quite honestly, the only thing that Vince McMahon should be doing Brian James and Ryan Ward were the heads of SmackDown Creative. Nobody's the head of Creative except for Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon is 100% the head of Creative. So having him come out there and you go out, and Monday Night Raw is probably even worse. I don't know who's head of Creative over there, but Monday Night Raw, SmackDown Live, it doesn't matter. Vince McMahon runs the show. Vince McMahon, the only thing he should be doing is he gets the script, he should read through it, and just see, does this meet our standards with our sponsors, with Mattel and all that? Are we going to get in trouble with the sponsors? Nope. Okay, then it's good. Now, what's he do? He changes everything to fit his vision. It's like, what's the fucking point of having creative writers? What is the point of having a 30-plus creative staff if everything they do gets thrown to the wayside and you make it to yourself? You see that paper shred over there? Take that over there because this is what we're doing instead. Fucking ludicrous, man. Ludicrous. I would not want to have this job whatsoever. How Brian James lasted as long as he did is beyond me. I would have had my breaking point probably a year. I probably wouldn't have been even last a month. Vince McMahon is just a control freak who does not let Monday Night Raw or SmackDown Live get any better because he has to kill them. He has to. Do you think NXT would be where it's at if it was just Triple H's ideas? If Triple H went out there and had just his ideas go out there? No. He has his team of people. He has his team. He has Michael Hayes. He has Michael Cole. He has William Regal. He has Albert or Matt Bloom. He has them and a bunch of other people thinking about this show. And it's not like because they have a month or so. They have a month to write all this stuff. compared to WWE where it's weekly. But it's not like we get to the tapings and Triple H is like, oh, I'm going to change everything. I don't like what's going on here. We're going to change everything. No, they go out there, they finalize their scripts, and they're done. Cody Rhodes was on JR's podcast, and JR asked him if they had to make any revisions to Double or Nothing. Cody's like, no, everything's good. We're already moving on to Fight for the Fallen and other shows after that. When a script is done, that should be it. The Superstar Shakeup should have been done, and the script should have been done. These plans for the Superstar Shakeup did not come until the last minute. The fact that you had Hanson and Rowe come up after being taped for NXT with War Raiders on their shirt, War Raiders, a new shirt for them that said War Raiders on it. Now they're coming up with a new name and new names for the characters. I don't like the War Raiders name. I'm fine with. I figured it was going to be fine. I'm surprised they get to keep their actual ring names until they got the Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. The Monday Night Raw. Why it took that long was beyond me. I thought we would have had them be something else. But the two terrible Viking names now, we're not going to mention that anytime soon. But anything that comes out of anything you see on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown Live comes through Vince McMahon. It doesn't matter if it's good. It doesn't matter if it's terrible. It doesn't matter if it's like, ugh. It comes through Vince McMahon, and there's nothing we can do about it. WWE's news on the Undertaker. Undertaker's status with WWE. Undertaker's working relationship with WWE is an interesting situation these days. Things between the two sides changed greatly when Taker was announced for the upcoming Starrcast 2 convention. According to the Wrestling Observer newsletter, the Observer also notes that people in WWE were first saying there was no way Taker would appear at Starrcast, but he is making the appearance likely due to contracts. Taker reportedly thought his WWE career was over after his match in late 2018, the no DQ loss to Triple H at Super Showdown in October, and the tag team match at Crown Jewel in November, which saw Taker and Kane lose to WWE Hall of Famer Shawn Michaels and Triple H. And that's when he started booking non-WWE paydays. Vince McMahon was upset when the Starrcast appearance was announced, but WWE reportedly made Taker an offer he couldn't refuse financially. Once things calmed down between the two sides, parts of the new contract was an agreement that Taker could no longer work the outside days except for the ones he's already booked. The Observer notes that Taker has no legal way to get out of the Starrcast deal. But for the UK deal with Inside the Ropes, they didn't have the king of legal resources to fight WWE on it. Regarding the Inside the Ropes appearances on April 29th, 30th, and May 1st, Taker was originally scheduled to meet fans for autographs and photos, plus a Q&A session that was changed last week, as it was announced that WWE Hall of Famer Mick Foley would be doing the Q&A part of the show, while Taker would be appearing for just the signings. This is because the new deal for WWE that Taker has signed, as the company wanted to bring him back in the fold. Taker reportedly pushed really hard to keep the Inside the Ropes appearances, despite people in WWE not wanting him to go to all the promoters, go at all. The promoters would have to refund all the tickets, and it would have really hurt them moving forward. And Taker did not want to do that. That's when the compromise was made that Foley coming in to discuss his history with Taker each night. The Observer adds that Taker pushed to make sure he still came for at least the signings with fans. There's a feeling that WWE believed Taker would never take bookings with people with the company didn't want him doing dates with, and WWE didn't realize the large amount of money that some promoters would offer Taker for their events. It was reported in February that Taker was charging $25,000 per hour and that he would have no trouble finding dates. One source involved in booking non-WWE appearances noted to the Observer that the $150 per person prices to get a photo and autograph with Taker was actually too low, as WWE Hall of Famer Steve Austin charged $316 for his VIP package at WrestleCon in New Orleans last year during WrestleMania 34 week. And they had so many requests at that price that they were overwhelmed and had to cut sales off. There was a feeling that Taker could have had a similar demand at WrestleCon during WrestleMania 35 weekend this year. Taker was approached by promoters for WrestleMania 35 week appearances, including WrestleCon, but he had already agreed to do the post-WrestleMania Raw appearance. It is also noted that it's still not clear if Taker's new WWE deal is to wrestle, but he is expected to return to the ring at the next Saudi Arabian event, believed to be on Friday, June 7th. A match with Elias has been moved after their recent run-in on Raw, but that could have been changed now that Elias has been moved to SmackDown in the Superstar Shakeup. Taker is also scheduled with signing an appearance on Sunday, June 9th at Niagara Falls Comic-Con in Niagara Falls, Ontario, Canada. Is Vince McMahon or people in WWE really that stupid? This is the fucking Undertaker. The fucking Undertaker. Do you really think that if he says, hey, I'm open for bookings, here's my price, that promoters are not going to just go, gee, let me write that check, here you go, come to our event, please. Are you fucking kidding me? Really? Are you that fucking stupid? Oh, it's The Undertaker. It's Vince McMahon's greatest creation. Nobody's gonna book him. Really? Really? That is the biggest load of bullshit I think I ever heard. The fact that you went out there and you signed this guy, I can understand why Vince McMahon wants to have him in the fold. They don't want him. They pretty much want to own The Undertaker till he dies. Pretty much until Mark Calloway is 6 feet under. Vince McMahon doesn't want him to do anything outside of WWE to keep his mystique, which, by the way, has been dead since WrestleMania 30. If you wanted him to keep his mystique, Vince, you shouldn't have had him lose at WrestleMania, not once but twice. He lost to Brock at 30. He lost to Roman at 34. There's nothing there about The Undertaker. I'm over The Undertaker in WWE. He came out the night after WrestleMania, and you know what I did? I got up and I went to the bathroom because I did not give a shit. I didn't care. I haven't, 10 years ago, yeah, I used to, you get the chills whenever that comes, like his music hits and stuff. This is 2019. The Undertaker is 50 plus years old. I don't care about The Undertaker. I want to care about the young crop of talent. The Seth Rollinses, the Eliases, the Ricochets, the Ella Blacks, the War Raiders, the Bobby Roodes, the Chad Gables, everybody who's on the roster who are full-time right now. I want to care about those guys. I want to see the young guys be able to get to that Undertaker-like status to where in 10 years they're talked about as being one of the greatest of all time, one of the best players in the game for WWE. WWE relying too much on The Undertaker over the last 5 or 6 years has been a detriment. Well, them relying on Triple H, Batista this year, or The Undertaker, or anybody else is a detriment to the young guys. It stunts the growth of the young guys, so they can have. So about 10 years from now, a guy like a Seth Rollins will never be as big as he could have been, or a Roman will never be as big as he could have been, or Braun Strowman could be like one of the best in there. No, because WWE has to rely on The Undertaker way too much. I was disappointed when he came out and people were like, oh, it's The Undertaker, and they're like cheering and everything. Guys, it's time to let The Undertaker go. He is past his time. It's time to start caring about others. Vince McMahon, your job is to get us to care about the stars of today and the stars of the future. We care about them in NXT. When they come up, you destroy them. The reason that we stop caring about the superstars when they come up to the main roster is because Vince McMahon just goes, well, I don't care. These guys weren't made by me, so I'm just gonna kill them. They're not made by me. They're made by Triple H, and I'm going to tear them down so badly that when I try to build them back up, they're not even worth building back up. That's the damn truth. The success rate of superstars coming from NXT to the main roster and being a success is very, very low, and that's not a good thing. The Undertaker could go away. His time in WWE should be done. If they want to put him as an ambassador, like a Mick Foley or something where he signs but he doesn't do anything, fine, whatever. That's because he is your greatest creation outside of WrestleMania. Fine, whatever. But I don't want to see The Undertaker in the ring again. Give him a Legends contract and let him go on his merry way. AEW news. This is some conflicting stuff here. AEW, Dave Meltzer to have a 2-hour show, but the date is not fired. Dave Meltzer, the Wrestling Observer, is reporting in the latest Observer newsletter that the day of the week in which an impending All Elite Wrestling show will air is still in question. According to Meltzer, the day of the week is no longer a lock for the AEW show, but a 2-hour primetime TV show is still a likely outcome. The original plan for AEW was to start airing on Tuesdays, but that is no longer set in stone. The new AEW show was reported to air on television the same week that WWE will be moving to SmackDown over the Fox. While an article by the Wrap reports that AEW is in advanced talks with Turner Broadcasting, but a deal is not yet signed. According to Wrap, reporter Tony Maglio, All Elite Wrestling's upcoming television deal will be a time buy. This part right here is this one is conflicting because he's saying it is, and other people are not. That means Time Warner isn't paying the company to air their programming, and instead AEW is paying to be on the station. This is due to AEW needing the spotlight more than Turner needing wrestling programming. He said, and I quote, "My understanding based on the people I've spoken to is that that it would be more AEW paying for its time on TNT or TBS than Turner paying AEW for its show." Here's the thing about it. If AEW was to go to TNT, they only have one date. They only have one day of the year that they can go, and that's Wednesday. Why Wednesday? Because Thursday is NBA, and from October to April, TNT has the NBA on TNT. Like, see, it's really hard because TNT and TBS both during. Well, no, it's not. No, yeah, see, in Thursday during March is March Madness. So they would be kind of screwed if they went to TNT, because TBS also does March Madness as well. But TBS, I say, would be a better spot because, yes, they have playoff games, but TBS really doesn't do the NBA unless the only reason they ever usually use TBS for NBA is during the first round of the playoffs. TNT has the two games, and then one of the other games is on NBA TV, and that first game goes to overtime. They might preempt it to the second game to TBS. They also have True TV where they can do that. Mario said to 411 Mania via the 411 Wrestling Interview Podcast, another very good wrestling reporter and I had been talking about whether that would be the case or whether it would be a revenue share. And we would both heard rumblings and talked to people. Maybe a couple months ago, it might have been a little bit of a different story, but the truth is, when you're talking to Turner, they're a very well-established, very well-off company inside a gigantic parent company. It's not the UFC, it's not WWE, it's not MLB. They have MLB, they have NBA. They know what they have to pay for it. I think they currently, AEW has more to prove than Turner has to in terms of trying to get them to come to the network. I think AEW needs to deal more than Turner does. This would not be an entirely new concept, as TNA back when they were on Fox Sports Net did the exact same thing. They paid to be on the Fox Sports Net before they got a nice big contract from Spike TV. The UFC's Ultimate Fighter was originally a time buy until it proved itself as a hit. AEW source calls TV buy reports total BS. Basically, we just, as excited as people are, they're cool t-shirts and cool roster, you want that, but they're improving. Let's be realistic. He said, my understanding and all that. A close source with AEW reports telling the Wrestling Inc. that it is total bullshit. I would not be surprised, though. It would not surprise me if AEW needed to do a time buy. But honestly, they are improving. It doesn't matter if you have Kenny Omega, you have Chris Jericho, you have Cody Rhodes, the Young Bucks. You could have Hulk freaking Hogan, which I hope the hell they don't ever do anything like that. You could have him in the fold, and you're unproven show. I mean, yes, you're gonna have Double or Nothing, Fight for the Fallen, and probably one other show before we get to October. But it would not surprise me that if they would have to do that. There's conflicting reports. Nobody knows exactly what the truth is. We won't know the truth is until the contract is signed. But that is unscripted for April 20th, 2019. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Follow me on Twitter at The Fronts. Follow me on twitch.tv/TheFront08. It's actually The Fronts Club for Twitter. I gotta remember to fix my thing. But hit that subscribe button, comment down below again, and I will see you guys Monday for Monday Night Raw. The first episode since the Superstar Shakeup is over. I fully expect to see Samoa Joe there. SmackDown Live as well. But, again, let me know what you guys think of everything that you've seen here tonight or heard from tonight. I went over a good bit. Again, thank you to everybody who's watched my Raw, SmackDown, NXT reviews, as well as the Superstar Shakeup predictions, and anybody who has watched anything I've done since the beginning. If you're one of those 113 subscribers, thank you very much. I know most of those are from a gaming video I put out a couple years ago when I tried to do a prediction video for the Super Bowl when the Falcons took on the Patriots, and I was off by just the final outcome and the final score, of course, but I came so very, very close. My highest viewed video on my YouTube page. If you want to go check it out, it's in there somewhere. But I'm getting out of here. I'm rambling along, and I will see you guys later.